I used to be a state restaurant inspector, and your stores are really clean. I mean, you do it the right way. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, the restrooms, I mean, what people don't realize, you judge by the restrooms, right? And you just, and I see the thermometers going in the soup, and I mean, you guys got it down. Yeah.
You're gonna need that one.
And the people are great too. I come in there and the people, here comes the troublemaker again. I have more fun just, people are great. We just get along great. You know?
Ready?
I have more fun.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
And I start telling them something. My wife says, "Are this family?" You know.
Going to call order the Town of Lisbon and Village of Merton Joint Planning Committee meeting at the Lisbon Town Hall on Tuesday, October 10th, 2019 at 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman.
Here.
Commissioner Stadler.
Here.
And you guys want to go around?
Mark Burrell, Village of Merton, trustee and plan commission member.
Tom Nelson, Village Administrator, Clerk Treasurer.
Ron Ranowski, Village President.
All right.
You guys want us to say ours too if you like?
Sure.
Dan Lindstrom and attorney Michael, what was your last name?
Van Clunin.
Thank you.
All right. Item 3 is comments from citizens present. Any comments from citizens present? All right. Item 4, discussion and necessary action on the minutes of the Joint Planning Committee meeting of August 20th, 2019.
Also move we adopt those minutes.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jane. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item A, discussion necessary action on the following request from Quick Trip Inc. for the property located at North 67 West 27619 Silver Spring Drive. Tax key LSBT 0219.994.001 and 0219.994.002 and 0219.994.003 and finally 0219.994.004. And recommendation of the town board of the same on a 3-lot combination certified survey map and also a conditional use permit amendment.
And a point of clarification on this one, 004 can be stricken from the discussion points tonight because that is the remaining parcel of that original CSM. We discussed that at our town plan commission meeting as well.
Okay. All right.
All right. You want to? I can start. I can kind of go through an overview here tonight. But I just want to make 2 points of clarification as well. Is we have 2 items on the agenda to discuss tonight, which is the 3-lot combination CSM, and the second point is the conditional use permit amendment. I want to make sure that that there's some clear definitions and some discussion points and boundaries between the 2 items, because the Village of Merton does have ETZ jurisdiction in this case, which is where the CSM comes in, which will ultimately have to go back through to the Village Plan Commission and Village Board separately from this one. But the 2 items are also up for agenda here tonight from our border agreements perspective, which talks about recommendations. So from a standpoint of when it gets to the actual Plan Commission on your side, that's when the CSM has a little bit more of an approval authority. Here we're in recommendation here tonight. So I just want to make that point clear tonight. So
In fact, our plan commission has already recommended. It's had a motion to recommend approval.
Okay.
For the CSM.
So, all right. So those are just the 2 points of clarification here tonight. I can go through what the town kind of recommended from its letter. There was quite a few conditions of approval, but ultimately I'll let the applicant kind of go through their proposal here, and then I can touch base on a little bit about what those conditions were. And then we also did have a follow-up from Waukesha County this week regarding the drives to and from the site, so I can touch on that in a bit. So I'll let the applicant kind of describe their process and their proposal first.
Sure. Good evening, Troy Melezaba, real estate development manager, Quick Trip 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
You want to hit your microphone on real quick? Just make sure that's. There you go.
Is it on? Should it light up if it's on?
There, it should be on now.
Our proposal this evening is basically to rebuild and replace the existing Quick Trip facility in a newer, larger, better facility that'll take us kind of for the next 30 years. So our proposal, the current store, I guess looking at the plan in front of you, I don't know, Dan, if you can screenshots or not, but the current store sits and faces Silver Spring. We acquired property back to the east, and our plan would be to reorient the store to face more or less parallel to Silver Spring. Pumps, store, separate side diesel, as we call it, to get trucks and trailers separated out from underneath the gas canopy. Kind of today they sit out in front. And then the driveways and access would remain the same. Our plan with this redevelopment would be to keep the store operating and open for business in this area of the site, build the new store building itself in this area, and once the store facility is open, we can open it for business, close down the old store, move everybody over, so to speak, on the middle of the night, and then tear down the old store and replace that with the improvements that sit in this area, with new fueling canopy, pavement, parking, that types of things. So,
How about the tanks? How about the pumping, pumps and tanks?
yeah, the tanks would be in this area back here. As far as sequencing, they would obviously have to be installed with the overall construction in mind. I don't know that we get an exact date or time. That would all have to be coordinated and sequenced through with the contractors, and making sure it works. The facility itself would be all new concrete paving, curb and gutter, new lighting, new landscaping, new everything more or less throughout the site. What's going to remain is the access points. Kind of as Dan mentioned, we've got some feedback from the county just here this week that they'd like a little bit of improvements as far as turning lanes or extensions to queue lengths. So that's something we'll work through with them. I think obviously that's a good idea that we'd be supportive of as well. As far as our plan would be to start construction in the spring. Timing is determined. We'd like to get our approvals this fall, go through the process of bidding over the winter, get the times lined up with the contractors, and make sure we can plan and build. Our overall time is going to be about 4 months to build and construct. So pretty aggressive timeline, but we've done it before, and we think we can hit that timeline again.
So you don't anticipate any downtime at all in your planning?
There'll be a little bit of downtime for the fueling side of
Okay.
it, and it's probably in the order of weeks as opposed to months. So
Sure.
it might be a 3 to 4 week process to kind of demo and get this all back in order. But our plan would be to always have continuous operation in the store, so folks could get in, get their needs in the store, not continuously not be out of business or out of service for the guests. So that'll be our overall plan. As far as Dan mentioned, kind of the CSM, we're combining the lots underneath this to combine into one lot and clean up the lot lines so we don't have any internal lot lines conflicting. And then with that, obviously, there's new stormwater facilities.
Are you gonna take the stormwater going down to that, is it all gonna go down to the one that's there now, or what's your
Correct.
plan for that?
Yeah,
Are you gonna have to increase the size of that or not?
yeah. The county's been looking at the stormwater plan, so we've got an engineered stormwater report.
Yeah.
And the
So it eventually drops and goes into the village across the street, so.
Yeah, so this area obviously would have to be upgraded in
Yeah.
terms of capacity. and
That's gotta be the low
size.
spot on the property, I think.
So new lighting, new landscaping, new signage. Obviously, it's a multi-million-dollar investment we've been making. I think that kind of hits the highlights. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if Dan's got anything that I didn't touch on, I'd be happy to. Here's just a perspective drawing too that we have, kind of showing what it would look like from the driveway on Silver Spring. It's like to kind of give you a sense of what the architecture would look like.
So it's pretty close to the same facade you have off of Capitol and 16 then on the Pewaukee location.
Yeah, it's
Same model?
It's a little newer model, a little
Okay.
bigger building.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a quicker look to it. Obviously, the pictures
Yeah.
look a little different than maybe your standard flat roof building. So we got that parapet wall that comes off. All the mechanicals actually sit up in the roof in kind of a bathtub, if you will. So
That's nice.
That gable roof, hip roof comes up and kind of screens all that from view. So you get a nice clean look. And then when you get the day, sounds like maybe tomorrow with the rain, we've got a nice covered sidewalk for people to get up against the building and get out of the weather. So. And then lastly, I've got a sample board, just kind of a hard copy of what the bricks, largely a brick building, almost all brick building, with kind of an auburn brick, burgundy brick color, and accented with a sandstone, if you will, kind of a cream colored brick. a little bit of stucco in the gable areas, and then the standing seam metal is this kind of muted green. Canopy and fascia are on this kind of this almond off-white color, if you will. I can pass them around if you care to see them up close. Sorry, Dan.
I'd just like to kind of touch on a few things that probably weren't in your packet as a result of them kind of still working through their iterations after discussions with the Plan Commission. From what you saw in the site plan, some of the comments that the Plan Commission had also commented on, which was there are some underground storage tanks to the eastern side of the property which had to be relocated about 10 feet closer into the property to meet with the town code. The applicant also is working through to amend the fuel canopy to include more brick going up the canopy pillars to kind of ground it more towards the building and kind of keep that flow. So they are working through that iteration as well. I don't know if they're on that rendering, but
They're not.
okay. So that was one of the conditions of approval, and then also from a standpoint of as I mentioned before, was that access. It was our number one condition was review and approval by Waukesha County. So Waukesha County is requiring acceleration, deceleration on Maureen or MD, and then also on VV they are looking at acceleration, deceleration. And they're going to be kind of investigating the bypass lane if you're heading westbound. So they're going to be investigating those pieces here right now.
That's what our plan commission, that was the most important thing to our plan commission, is that situation.
Mm-hmm.
To the
There's an
word,
accident.
to the letter almost.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we're working. That's what they're going to be working through here. I just sent that information over this week. I talked to Joe today actually to kind of walk through some of those things. He's going to give Jason over at Waukesha County DPW a call to figure out what the best course of action would be to correct those items. From a standpoint of there isn't a traffic impact assessment that's being ordered for this property, but Waukesha County is doing one for this area as a result of the development that's happening in this area already. So outside of this development, this is to help get them to meet their needs. But from an overall standpoint, there is potentially that a study going to be ordered here in the near future because of the impact of Barnwood and this development and other developments kind of in the area, all impacting kind of that Lake 5 corridor. So that's all I had on those new additions since your packet, more or less.
All right.
May I ask a question, please? Sure. In your site here, did you say that this is going to be the diesel area?
It is, yes.
So trucks coming to fuel here will need to go around the building here? How big of
Correct.
trucks do you anticipate being able to accommodate here?
We've got it designed, we've got turning movements to facilitate a full-size semi-truck if it needs to be. But I think our realistic expectation is kind of who's there today is the contractor trucks, dump trucks, those type of folks that would utilize it. But we would design it so that all those turning movements work. And then from our own store perspective, we've got our grocery truck comes every night and delivers. We've got a spot now for them as opposed to right now they're kind of out in the way.
Yeah.
And then same with fuel deliveries, we've got a spot kind of for each of these fueling islands where the tanker truck can park and be out of the way as opposed to right now they're kind of right out in the front. So we have run turning movements to make sure that we can make sure those larger vehicles can navigate through the site safely.
I'm not an engineer, but I would guess that you'll have those steel posts there if you're gonna have that much traffic going around the building and.
We'll have curb and gutter, we'll have bollards along the front of the store, obviously we put them up for cars up front, but having done these a couple times, we wanna make sure that there's enough room for those folks to make their movements, including we hear from our own guys, to make sure those deliveries areas are accessible and not impossible to get in and out. So,
Thank you for clarifying.
good question.
Any other questions on the proposal?
It said in the proposal that a photometric study was done on the site.
Yeah.
Can I get a copy of that at some point?
Was it in your packet? I think it was.
I don't
with
think
the
it,
original
I didn't see it in the, was it in the original submittal packet?
If it wasn't, it should have been. We can make sure that you guys get a copy of that. We did make sure
I see
that the levels, light levels at the boundary line were pretty much down to zero from
Yeah.
from a
Okay.
candle width perspective, or foot candle perspective.
I've seen it, so there is one.
Yeah, there's tiny movement impossible.
Oh, I read them all day long, so, yeah, like hundreds of them. It was more of a point of curiosity than anything else, so.
have it on the screen, so if you need me to blow it up, I can.
Yeah, the lot layout and everything lends itself perfect for a good symmetric layout without bleeding off into the roadways. I like just looking at how you have it done here. Yeah,
Yeah, and our goal is to try and keep that.
contained.
Yeah, we don't have the old 30-foot tall poles we got on thing.
Well, and ever since LED, that's been able to actually hit the cutoff better at the property lines. Yeah. Great.
All right. Any other questions? All right, and then obviously on the conditional use permit, that's where we address the hours of,
That's what, you guys did it under your site plan of
Right.
operation.
so we did not, as with our other gas station in town, we did not allow 24-hour operation. So I forgot what it was,
It's
5 to 11.
11 to 5, isn't that?
5
It's-
to 11.
5 to 11, then
Yeah,
the employees can be there an hour before and an hour after for cleanup and setup.
Is that pretty much the hours that are set now for that location?
I think it's exactly the same,
Is it?
yeah,
so nothing
yeah,
really changed there.
nothing changed.
Was there a desire to go 24 hours?
They
They do.
They do, yeah. What percentage-wise, store-wise, how many stores do you have that go 24 hours?
The vast majority are.
Do they? Oh, okay. I'm usually not up like at the wee hours in the morning.
Right. Okay. Well, is anyone ready to make a motion on the 3-lot combination certified survey map?
I would make a motion that we do that, that we combine the 3-lot survey map, and let me see if I can get the numbers right here. It's 0219.994.001, 0219.994.002, and 0219.994.003. We recommend that those 3 properties are combined as under one, I think the proper term would be under one tax key. Correct. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe you're correct.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Should I second it? I'll second it.
Seconded by Jane. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. And then is there a motion on the conditional use permit amendment? I move that we approve the conditional use permit amendment. Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Ron, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're out at 6:18. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all, appreciate your
The
time.
longer we sit around,